Meet Maya. She owns a plumbing and HVAC company in Denver. 1.2 million a year, 15 employees. And today, Maya's in a hospital bed. She does not know it yet, but her business has exactly 168 hours to prove it can survive without her. I'm JT. For the last 15 years, I've been a fractional COO and CMO to entrepreneurs, from first-time founders to billion-dollar operators. On this episode of Notebook of a COO, we are running the 7-day Disappearance Test. It is the most brutal diagnostic in small business operations, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what would break in your business if you went dark tomorrow. Some of what breaks you can predict. Some of it you would never see coming, but all of it tells you the same thing. Whether you have built a business or a very expensive job wearing business clothes. Back to Maya. Maya is 38. She started the business 11 years ago with one truck, one phone, and one guy who helped her on weekends. Today, she has 15 employees, a fleet of 8 trucks, and a wait list of customers that runs 3 weeks deep. By every outside measure, she has made it. Here is what nobody outside her company knows. Maya has not taken a full weekend off in 4 years. She answers her phone at 10 p.m. She approves every quote over $3,000. She knows the home address of her top 12 customers by memory. And on a Tuesday morning in October, Maya slips on her own front porch, breaks her ankle in 2 places, and ends up in surgery. She will not be reachable for the next 7 days. Her business is about to run its first disappearance test. Most people think a test like this exposes the big things. The website goes down, payroll does not get processed, the trucks do not get dispatched. But that is not what happens. What happens is smaller, quieter, and much more damaging. It happens in 3 waves. So what breaks first? Not the systems. The decisions. In the first 24 hours of Maya's disappearance, her team runs into 9 decisions they cannot make without her. A client calls asking for a 10% discount on a repeat job. Nobody knows what Maya would say. A new hire wants to know if he can take his usual Thursday afternoon off for a family thing. Nobody knows what policy applies. A parts vendor raised prices 8%. Nobody is sure whether to absorb it or pass it through. None of these are hard decisions. Each one takes about 60 seconds to make if you know the business, but nobody does, because Maya has never written down what she would decide. Research on small business decision flow consistently shows the average owner makes or approves 78% of all decisions that happen in a given week. 78%. To put that in perspective, if the business were a government, the owner would be making more decisions in 1 week than the entire United States Congress makes in 6 months. By the end of day 2, Maya's team is in a quiet panic, not because anything has broken yet, because they have 9 open questions and no one with the authority to answer them. The first thing to break? Your team's confidence. They do not lack skill, they lack permission, and nobody gave it to them because you never had to. Drop a comment. How many decisions would your team be stuck on if you disappeared tomorrow? Back to Maya. Her team starts doing what every team does when the owner is unavailable. They guess, and half of their guesses are wrong. But the decisions are not the worst part. By day 3, something else starts to surface. The processes, the things that only exist in Maya's head. How she quotes a non-standard job, how she handles a customer complaint, how she decides which of 2 emergencies to dispatch to first. None of it is written down, not in a manual, not in a system, not anywhere. Studies on key person dependency in small businesses consistently find that within 72 hours of the owner being unavailable, the team encounters between 15 and 20 moments where they need institutional knowledge that was never documented. That is roughly 1 missing process every 4 hours of working time. For Maya's business, over the course of 5 working days, that is about 25 moments where the team has to stop, guess, or escalate. Here's the part that nobody predicts. The guessing does not just delay work, it costs money. One of Maya's senior technicians takes a best guess at pricing a custom install and leaves $4,200 of margin on the table. One of her dispatchers takes a best guess at prioritizing 2 emergency calls and sends the wrong truck to the wrong address. One of her office staff takes a best guess at handling a warranty claim and commits the company to a replacement that Maya would have negotiated into a repair. In total, day 3 through day 5 cost Maya's business somewhere between $11,000 and $14,000 in margin erosion. That is roughly what Maya pays 2 of her technicians for an entire month. Nobody on the team did anything wrong. They did not have the process. The process lived in Maya. The second thing to break, the processes you never wrote down. Drop a comment. What is the one process in your business that exists only in your head? Back to Maya. By day 6, something else is happening, and this one she will not be able to fix when she gets back. On day 6, the last thing breaks, the relationships. This is the one almost nobody sees coming. When you have been the relationship for every important client, vendor, and partner, your disappearance is not just operational, it is personal. 8 of Maya's 12 largest accounts contact her directly, not through dispatch. They have her cell phone number. They text her on weekends. They expect her response. By day 6, those 8 accounts have been radio silent from Maya for almost a week. One of them, a property management company that represents $140,000 in annual revenue, has started calling a competitor for quotes on a project they would normally hand to Maya without a second thought. Not because they are unhappy, because Maya was the relationship, and the relationship has gone dark. Think about that for a second. 40% of her major accounts have a relationship that runs directly through her phone. If she is out for a week, a quarter of them start shopping. That is like a bank where 40% of the deposits would walk out the door if the branch manager called in sick. This is why the disappearance test is so brutal. The test does not just show you what is broken, it shows you what you built that cannot be fixed without rebuilding. A vendor who has negotiated rates with Maya for 8 years stops picking up the phone when Maya's dispatcher calls. Not because the dispatcher is doing anything wrong, because the vendor has built a relationship with Maya, not with Maya's company. By day 7, 3 of Maya's major accounts have started exploratory conversations with competitors. 2 of her key vendors have expressed concern. One of her senior technicians has put out feelers for other jobs because the chaos of the week has him wondering if the business is stable. None of this shows up in the P&L until later, but it is all already in motion. The third thing to break, the relationships only you can maintain, and that is the one that does not self-correct when you come back. So what actually fixes this? 3 moves. Not a rebrand, not a new hire, not a 90-day operating system. 3 small moves, each one taking about a week of focused work. Move 1. Document the 5 questions your team asks you most often. 1 page each. The steps in order. Clear enough that someone else can follow them without asking you. That alone removes about 30% of your team's decision dependency on you. 1 week of work, permanent return. Move 2. Build a decision ceiling, a 3-tier framework that says, here is what any team member can decide on their own, here is what a manager can decide, here is what still comes to me. Most operators never draw the line, which means the line is wherever you happen to be standing that day. When the line is drawn, most decisions move down the chain, the business moves faster, and you get your Tuesday afternoons back. Move 3. Introduce 1 team member to each of your top 10 client and vendor relationships, by name, on purpose, in person, or on a call, not as a handoff, as a second point of contact. The goal is not to replace yourself. The goal is to make sure your business does not have a single point of failure named after you. 3 moves: documented decisions, defined authority, distributed relationships. That is the entire fix. 6 months after her hospital stay, Maya decided to run the test on purpose. She planned a 2-week vacation with her family. Phone off, no laptop, no check-ins. Before she left, she spent 3 months building the 3 moves, documented the processes, drew the decision lines, introduced her operations manager to every key client and vendor. She came back on a Sunday evening, expecting the worst. What she found was a business that had handled 3 emergencies, closed 2 new accounts, and processed payroll without a single call to her. Not because the business ran itself, it does not. Because Maya finally built the infrastructure that let her team run it. If you want to take the disappearance test on your own business, the next video to watch is the 5 numbers that tell you if your business can run without you. That one gives you the exact diagnostic metrics for which of the 3 layers we covered today is the most broken in your business. Or, if you want to start with the most brutal financial stress test, watch the episode on the 13-week cash flow forecast. That one shows you whether your business survives a 90-day shock, not just a 7-day one. Either one is the right next move. Wherever you are, that is exactly where you are supposed to be, but that does not mean you have to stay there. Until next time.